Hello guys and gals, and welcome. So we have another post from Moonbeast. This is the third one I've done so far. This wasn't about shards and seasons. Um, the Moonbeast is a game that's in development by the original Diablo II developers. This is not the first video I've done, so if you want to check this out from the beginning, there's quite a bit to go over. But let's continue from the newest post that they made, which is Shards meet Seasons, Seasons Shards. How many of you remember the race between Gerbarb and Rustbarb for the top of the classic Diablo II European ladder? We've gotten a few questions about how we plan on handling seasons. Ever since Diablo II, many popular online ARPGs have followed the season model as a way to reset the leaderboards, the economy, and to introduce what's generally been a small amount of new content to hopefully entice players back. When I first came up with the concept of a season in Diablo II, post-LOD, I devised it as a quick and dirty way to reset the ladder and the economy after the initial plague of duped and hacked items. I had a day or two on my schedule to implement something, so it had to be real simple. At the time, I had zero clue that it would become an enduring concept that would make its way into other games. And if you had told me that that would be the case, I would have scoffed even as I was writing the code for it. It felt like a total hack. This time around, we don't really want to do seasons in a traditional sense, but as with everything, we still want to be careful to both understand how they worked and to preserve the good elements. So what's the plan? First off, in keeping with our mod-friendly spirit, we're going to let players create and define their own servers, aka shards. The idea of shards will be tightly coupled with and explained by our setting. This will work in some ways like how you'd create games in Diablo II, though not such at high frequency. You can create small private shard just for yourself and your friends, or assuming you attain requisite privileges, create a large open shard that could potentially support thousands of players. Each shard is its own world and an enduring thing, much like an MMO server, with the ability to support extended gameplay for years via respawn, instance dungeons, physical expansion of world area, or any number of other methods. When creating your shard, you can set any number of options for it. You want a full PvP open world, hardcore only, ultra high difficulty, list it openly or keep it private, allow character import from restricted set of other shards, check. I imagine the options will only increase with time. As you might expect, we'll create and manage a set of official public shards. For a lot of people, these will probably be the place your rankings on the leaderboards. There will be your official ones. But what about seasons? Aren't they valuable as a way to bring back players, of resetting ladders and the economy? The beauty of making a moddable ARPG from the ground up is that those tools we build to mod the game will give us unprecedented power to make content ourselves quickly. This was why I spent so much time in the early days of Diablo II changing the infrastructure from being mostly hard-coded to being more data-driven. Because new expansions and larger content drops do more to bring players back than anything, and depending on the needs of the game, we can easily choose to spin up new shards to highlight these changes, and to reset the economy, and spur a new race to the top of a new leaderboard. What about the old shards, though? Is it going to be an issue if too many people migrate off of them to go to the new shards with new content? Doesn't this have the potential of splitting the player base too much? First off, it doesn't actually take a lot of people to create a viable community, maybe a few thousand. Density is an issue, but remember, this is a game that supports live, large-scale terraforming. We can shrink land just as easily as we can grow it. But there may be even cooler ways to handle this situation. What did they call it in The Witcher? The conjunction of the spheres? What if the shards could collide? Wouldn't that be killer world event? What if some players could choose to oppose it while others tried to help it along? It all sounds pretty fun to me. So I kind of see what he's going with here. Is he's talking about basically having an entire world that you create. The world that you create is essentially like a season. That's kind of how he's talking about it. And all the characters that are on that shard are part of that season. But when they create a new season, it would be a new shard. And you would have to create a new character to participate in that shard, which is basically just like a world. I guess you could call it a world instead of a shard. And a shard is kind of an odd word for basically what is a server, right? So every single time they create a new Jank that would technically be considered a new season, it would be on a new server, which could be interesting. So your old characters would still exist on the old servers, and your new characters would exist on the new servers. And according to this, you could even make your own servers, which could be interesting. And your characters could potentially import between the servers depending on if they are in the same patch level, I guess, would be kind of the idea there. It's kind of an interesting concept. And this is coming from the same person who literally created the concept of seasons. I mean, this is the guy who literally made seasons in Diablo II. So it's kind of an interesting way to go about having a different form of seasons. The economy would still reset. I mean, technically, since you can't carry your character over to some of the newer shards, then yes, the economy would reset on the newer shards. And then on top of that, he also talked about leaderboards being official public shards. So this is where your rankings and leaderboards will be your official ones. So there will be official servers, essentially, as well as unofficial servers. And then on top of that, you'll have shards that have much different options, obviously, like the full open PvP worlds or the hardcore only worlds, etc., etc., etc. I mean, from a certain standpoint, it definitely does sound interesting. And he talks about like having a community, and I can't help but think of, you know, like the kinship that I've made, where we have the Discord and we have all these people, like, you know, there's like 1,000 people in the kinship now, and we could invite people to a kinship specific shard, you know, have all the kinship members in like one shard all together. That would be kind of interesting. I think that's pretty much it, though, for this one. I'll keep an eye out for the next one when it comes out. I was hoping he would have posted another one by now so I could have done two at the same time, a little bit more content, but I'm fine doing it one at a time, too. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when it's just an update on the Moonbeast game that probably will be coming out many years from now. And as always, keep watching.